Hi everyone, I'm Chris from Something Classic. If you're new here, welcome. If you're not new, welcome back. We're doing something different today. I have mentioned in some of my videos that if you have a bag that you'd like to try or you want to make a pattern change to it, to let me know and then we can work on it together. And I had a subscriber reach out and she wants to make a bag for her daughter for Christmas. So she and I have been corresponding back and forth, and she sent me some sketches and some pictures of a few things she's tried. And after going back and forth with her, we've decided that our starting point is the Hope by American Stitchers. That's going to be the starting point. Now this is a concealed carry bag. The concealed pocket can be for anything. It can be for your cell phone, it can be for your money, it can be, it doesn't necessarily have to be for concealed carry. It's just a concealed pocket, let's just put it that way, okay? So don't think the bag isn't for you if, you hear it's concealed carry and you think, oh gosh, I can't make it or I don't want to make it. It's a very great bag. I think that it would work for anybody, okay? So because it is a concealed carry bag and it has that pocket, there's some different techniques. Now the end result does not look exactly like this bag, her end goal. But what we need to do is to start out by doing a full tutorial on this bag so that we get the techniques down, and we can then take those techniques and apply them to the final result that she's looking for. And in our next video, what we're going to do is we're going to take this Hope pattern again and we're going to combine it with another pattern to get the end result, okay? But step one is we need to make sure we understand how to do this Hope. So that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to do a full tutorial. So bear with me, y'all. This will be our first time doing a full tutorial. And I think the first thing we need to do is go over all these pattern pieces because there's a lot of them. And there's a lot of things you need to pay attention to when you're cutting them out. So every single piece that's in here that needs foam has a separate pattern piece for foam. And foam is important in this bag because it's going to give it the stability that it needs, but also if you're going to use it for a true concealed carry bag, the foam is important. You need that extra padding. So for instance, here is the exterior front bottom piece, and I'm using a faux leather from bodeeoh. I'm actually using, this is going to be the main part of the bag, like the middle part, and then the sides are going to be this this darker, oops, pattern pieces are going flying, this darker brown. So here is the exterior front of the bag, the bottom exterior front, and they have given both a piece for the pattern and a piece for the foam. And the foam does need to be cut smaller than the pattern. There is a little dot on the bottom of the front pattern piece, and what you need to do is make sure you cut out that with a hole punch and then mark it on the back of your pattern. So what I have done here is I have marked that little dot on my pattern, okay, and I've glued my foam on. Now this is fusible foam, one-sided fusible foam, but since I'm using a faux leather, I really don't want to put an iron on it. So I've just used some Beacon 3-in-1 to kind of tack it on there. Now, before you adhere your foam, you want to go ahead and draw 1/2-inch seam allowances on the pattern pieces themselves. I'm going to show you a little bit more detail on one I haven't put the foam on, because you want to make sure that your foam is centered between those 1/2-inch seam allowances. I actually had to go back and trim my foam on a couple of pieces to make sure they fit within the lines, okay? So we have our exterior bottom back, bottom front, I guess it's the front because the slip pocket's in the front. So we have that in the foam. Then we have the one side that does not have the pocket. We have that exterior piece and we have the foam for it. Now, I want to show you on this pattern piece. These pattern pieces have all kinds of markings on them, all the way down and around. You want to make sure you transfer those markings to the actual fabric. So on the pattern piece, you've got 2 dots. You see I punched those dots out and I've marked that on my exterior, the back of my exterior piece. You also have little tabs here for where the zipper is going to go. So I went ahead and marked that on my pattern piece as well. And then you have these 2 lines here at the top. One says fold here and the other one says fold top to here. I have marked both of those lines on my pattern piece. Now, the reason why I did it is because when you put your foam on, you're only going to put your foam up to this yellow line. And then I also drew in my 1/2 inch seam allowance along the side because your foam is going to go on the inside of that. So make sure you take the time to, and then of course we have our strap connector, which I marked that already. So you want to make sure that when you go through and do your, cut out your pattern pieces, mark all those things on there. You can see I went ahead and did that on here, see my dots and all, and then I marked my hidden strap connectors here on the front, okay? And you can see my foam does not go all the way up to the front. This is going to end up folding down, and we're going to be on the inside of our foam when we do that, okay? So there we have that piece. Then we have our exterior top front pattern piece in foam. And again, you have your fold lines there. And the reason why is because this is a drop-in lining. And when you fold these over, we're gonna drop the lining inside the bag, and then we're gonna sew our zipper between the face and the lining. So here is the exterior top piece. And you see on the back, I've got all my lines and dots, and I drew all over the back. And I have my foam adhered to that. So you have that piece. Then you have your exterior side pieces, and there's again a piece for the fabric and a piece for the foam that just went flying, but it's just like the others. And again, you've got your fold lines, you've got your dots. You want to make sure you mark where your zippers start and stop here. And this is placed on the fold. So the pattern piece, it kind of looks funny. This is it. You see, you've got a little cutout down here at the bottom. And the reason why is because it's a pretty neat detail. This is gonna fold underneath, and you're gonna have these kind of fancy things underneath the bag that you're gonna hold on with purse feet. I've of course marked all my lines on here. You can see that, adhered my foam. And on the second piece, I have not put my foam on yet, so that you can see this all a little bit better. So here are all my lines, here are all my dots. You wanna make sure you do all of that. And then when you put your foam on, you wanna make sure your foam is within your 1/2 inch seam allowance, which I drew on here, and below, just below the bottom line here, okay? So when I put this on, I'm just gonna make sure it fits between all those lines. If it does not, I just trimmed it down, just a little bit, just to make sure it fits, okay? So before you put your foam on, this is what everything's gonna look like. Get all your pattern pieces, stick this on, you'll be good to go. So you have 2 sides. Then you have your Conceal pocket pattern piece. And this, you have to really pay attention when you cut this out, okay? This is the pattern piece for the inner and the outer pocket, both. So what you need to do is you need to first cut this out in full, and it is going to be for the inner pocket piece, okay? The whole thing. Then along this red line, you're going to fold that in, and you're going to cut an outer pocket piece. So to keep it so that I remembered was what, I put an O on my outer, and I actually put an I on my inner, but I've already adhered my foam to that. And then on the inner piece, which is this piece right here, you have to draw a line 3/8 of an inch down from the top. So I just folded this in, drew a line with my chalk, and that line is, you can see where it kind of intersects right here. That line's there, you can see on the top, and you can see my foam is just underneath that, okay? And I also have marks for where my zipper goes. So when you're through, you're gonna have one inner piece with foam, you're gonna have one outer piece that's a little smaller without foam, and that's gonna be your conceal pocket. Now, I'm using waterproof canvas. It says to use canvas for this, and I'm using black waterproof canvas for it. But for the rest of the bag, oh, you have a separate foam piece for your conceal pocket as well. For the rest of the bag, I'm using an off-white tan lining. So this is the exterior slip pocket lining piece. Okay, we have one of those. She puts the exterior slip pocket together a little different. It's kind of neat. I think you're gonna like it. It's very interesting. Then you have two lining pieces. So I've got my two lining pieces here. And again, you'll see you've got these folds here. So on the back side of my lining pieces, I've marked a little crooked, but they're there. This one's a little straighter. Mark those. And all these little dots are really important. Whoops. You really want to cut those out, cut them out and mark them, because those are your sew to lines. You're going to start and stop at these lines. So make sure you mark those real well. Okay, so you have two lining pieces. You have pattern pieces for that. Then you have two side bottom facing pieces. And they look like this. They're just these little things. Now they have holes, or they have dots. I punched them out and put holes, and you'll see I put holes on the pattern piece. Well, on the pattern, it says to do this out of your lining fabric. I actually cut it, because this is a faux leather, it's not super thick, I actually cut it out of my faux leather. I'm gonna sew right sides together, just turn it, and that way, if the lining peeks out a little bit, you know, sometimes when you fold it, you can still see the lining a little bit, it's not gonna be evident. It's gonna be the same as the face fabric. So that is one thing I did a little bit different. Now, there is a template piece in here. If you're using leather to do this bag, you're actually gonna use your template piece and cut these pieces down. And you're also gonna cut your side piece down. This piece right here. So these are gonna go right sides together like this. We're gonna sew them together, and then we're gonna flip them. But if you're using leather, you can't do that. So she gives you a template piece to cut these down if you're doing that. So that's wonderful. Because this bag is specifically made for leather, vinyl, cork. You can use cotton, but it's made for that, for the other fabrics. Okay, this also has a divider pocket on the inside. So I cut 4 divider pocket lining pieces, okay? And we're gonna put the divider pocket in. There's also a piece for your interior zipper pocket facing. And then she tells you in the pattern what to cut for your strap connectors, your straps, and then these interior slip pocket and interior zipper pocket pieces. And then she actually puts a little piece of vinyl or something decorative on the inside slip pocket piece, which I usually do in my bags anyway. So she has that. So she has all the measurements for that. Now, this bag also has a optional crossbody strap. I'm actually not going to do the crossbody strap. I'm not a big crossbody. This is kind of a bigger bag, and I'm not a real fan of that, so I'm not going to do that. But obviously, if you do, you would cut those connectors and the crossbody as well, crossbody strap. Okay? So, without further ado, once you get all your pattern pieces cut out, we'll get started. One thing I just want to say is just take your time cutting this bag out, cutting the pieces out, because there are a lot of pieces, there's a lot of markings you want to transfer, and I think it's going to make all the difference in having a very successful bag. Okay? So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, forgot hardware. You're also going to need four rectangle rings, 1 inch, 4 purse feet, and I've got these screw-in ones. You're going to need 2 number 5 9-inch zippers. I'm using zipper by the yard. You're going to need 1 18-inch number 5 zipper. You're going to need 1 16-inch number 3 zipper. And you're going to need 1 9-inch number 3 zipper. And of course the zipper pulls. If you're going to put the crossbody strap, you're also going to need some D-rings and some swivel hooks. And then we need rivets, different size rivets. Okay? All right, so now let's get started. All right, the first thing the pattern says to do are the straps and strap connectors, crossbody strap, all that kind of good stuff. So I'm going to start by doing my strap connectors. And you do this just the way you do most strap connectors. You draw a line down the center, put double-sided tape, go ahead and fold to the middle, and then we're going to stitch that together. So you want to do that for all of your pieces, your handles, your crossbody strap, if you're choosing to do a crossbody strap, your connectors, and you're going to sew it 1/8 of an inch down each side. All right, so go ahead and do all your straps, and then we will go ahead and put our hidden strap connectors in. Okay, so I have my straps and my strap connectors done, and I did take the time to change my thread out depending on what color I was using. That's just a personal preference. You know, of course, contrasting thread looks really pretty, so you can certainly do that if you're going to do a two-tone bag, but I decided I was going to change. So now you mark the strap connectors according to the pattern, where they go. Go ahead and cut your holes in there, and you're going to put your strap in, your strap connector in, and you're going to put it about halfway. Okay, so it looks like that. Do the other side, and you're putting it with the wrong side up. And we've done these before on other bags when we put connectors in for tassels or all kinds of different things. Okay, so that's what the back looks like. And here's our front. Make sure they're straight. same thing for the other. Now, this is your upper. I need to move you away a little bit, I think. Let's see. Might be a little better. This is your upper back or front panel. So this is the upper part. You're gonna have your slip pocket here. So we're gonna put this in like this. You see my holes are snug. You want them snug. You don't want them too small. You definitely don't want them too big. Okay. So now what we're going to do is sew a line of stitching on the top. So we're going to sew here, we're going to sew up top here on all 4 of these. So now we're going to get our rectangle rings. I'm going to put them on. And then you're going to tuck this bottom part in. Something here. Okay. Make sure they're all straight here, looking good. And what I'm going to do is flip this up, and I'm just going to sew these 2 together in the back without going through the front. And then we're going to put a rivet. So I'm just going to flip this up, stitch these 2 together. Threads everywhere here. Okay, so now what we're going to do is rivet these down, and I am actually going to use I am terrible at eyeballing rivets, trying to get rivets in. I don't know why, but I am. So I'm going to use my rivet template that I got from Tops and Bobbins. And I'm just going to line this up to the bottom of the strap. I'm just going to make a mark the second hole down. Hole punch here. Now, of course, when you're punching this hole, you're going all the way through both sides of your strap here in the back. Some rivets, and I believe these should work. Let's see here. Yeah, that's going to be perfect. I think the pattern calls for 9mm rivets. I think that's what these are. I'm not 100% sure. They fit, so we're going to use them. You're going through basically 4 pieces of strap in the back because it's doubled over, plus your foam, plus your main fabric. So you need a pretty long rivet here. Okay, so I'm going to go press these in, and then we will come back and we will go to the next step. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our 2 side pieces and we're going to take our 2 side bottom facing pieces. Now, again, these were, the pattern calls for these to be out of lining. I'm choosing to do this out of my my face fabric. But you can certainly do it out of lining. I'm going to match these up. And we're going to sew around. And we're just going to go, make sure you mark your dots. You're going to go from dot, and you're going to go all the way down, around, and then come back up and stop at this dot and back stitch. Okay, I've sewn dot to dot on both of these panels. So now we're just going to go ahead and trim these corners. I'm going to use my pinking shears to do that. Of course, be careful you do not cut your stitches. And then the other thing you need to do is clip your sides to the dot. Do not cut through your stitches, of course, just cut to your dot. Okay. Then we're going to turn these around. I'm going to use my little double-sided ball tool here. Get these corners out. Okay, now if you're using a cotton fabric or something you can press, then you want to go ahead and press that. But I am not going to do that, obviously. because of this faux leather here. Okay. Now, there's two different things you can do, and the instructions explain this. You can top stitch this now, and then when you put your bag together and this wraps around the bottom, okay, so this will be at the bottom, then you'll just use your purse feet to attach it to the bottom. Or you cannot top stitch it, put the bag together, and then get inside the bag and stitch this on the bottom of the bag before you put your purse feet on. So I think that I am going to top stitch it now. And just use my purse feet to hold it down. So I'm just rolling this out so it's nice and flat. Making sure I like the way my corners look here. Okay. So I'm going to increase my stitch length. I'm going to top stitch this. And I'm just basically going to back stitch right here at the corner. I'm going to go down, go across, go up, and then just do a little back stitch, tack stitch right there. These side panels are done and ready. I'm going to set them aside, but they'll be ready for the next step. So another thing you're going to need is, if you're making this a true conceal carry bag, you're going to need some Velcro or hook and loop tape. And I just got this at Joann's. The pattern calls for a 4x4 piece, and that you know, it's not easy to find. I think there are some companies out there that carry it where you can actually just get the 4-inch loop pieces. But I just went to Joann's and got this industrial strength. So that's what we're going to use. And this is 2-inch. Now, the, you know, Velcro has kind of a soft, fuzzy side, and then it has a kind of rough side. The rough side is called the hook side. The soft side, the soft fuzzy side, is called the loop side. And you want to put the loop pieces on these concealed pocket pieces. So we're actually going to cut just of the soft side, aka the loop side. We're going to cut 4-inch pieces. Got 2 more. Now, if this particular pattern is a either right-handed or left-handed person, you know, for either one, so that's why we're putting this on both sides. If you're doing it just for a right-handed person, you could just do it on one side, but they'd always have to carry their purse the same way. So I don't think it's a bad idea to put it on both sides. Okay. Now this particular stuff I got from Joann's is got a sticky back, so I'm just going to peel this off. And we're going to stick it on. And we need to put this 2.5 inches up from the bottom, and of course centered. And you're going to put both of your pieces right side up so they're facing you. You're going to measure 2.5 inches. Let's see. So it's going to be 5.5. 2.5 inches up. And we're just going to center this. Now, because I don't have a 4-inch piece, I'm just going to take the other side here. And I'm going to put that right on top, touching. Okay? So now I have a 4x4 square here. So I'm going to do that on the other one. So this is the one with the foam. So now this one is a little bit bigger. Remember, one pocket's a little smaller than the other, so make sure that you measure so you know exactly where the center is. Or you can fold it in half, whatever works for you. Take this off, if we can. Okay, here we go. All right, so it's about there. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I am going to switch to black thread on this, and I'm going to stitch all the way around the square, but I'm also going to stitch down the center, the length here, so that it'll also tack these down since it's not one large piece. Okay, so I'm going to do that to both pieces, and then we will come back. Our next step is to put the outer, so there's my O, the outer pocket, concealed pocket piece onto the bag. So what you're going to do is take your bag piece, your full bag piece here, which I guess is theoretically the back. You're going to put it face up, and you're going to put the top of it to your left. You're going to, on one of your 9-inch zippers, you're going to put double-sided tape on both sides. Okay. I have marked, like I said in the beginning, marked the placement of my zipper on my pattern. And actually, it looks like I didn't do it on the other side. Let me get my pattern piece and do that. Okay. Looks like I did it on this side, but not on this side. So let me go ahead and do that real quick. Because we want to put our zipper right in between these two marks. We want to make sure that our pocket has those zipper marks as well. Which it looks like I put it on the inner pocket, but not the outer pocket. So let me go ahead and do that. So I'm gonna just line these up. And zipper placement. Do the same thing on this side. Okay, let's try this again. So we're going to have our back piece face up with the top to our left. We're going to take our zipper. We're going to put the top of the zipper towards the top of the bag. From there, we're going to peel off the tape on the right side of the zipper. And the way you're looking at the zipper is going to be the top. Okay? Peel that off. And we want to put that right side down between our zipper marks. Once you get your pull out of the way here. Here we go. So, now your zipper should be 9 inches. And you want to center it because, make sure my zipper's 9 inches. It is. So let me find the center of my zipper as well. I think that'll help. Just put a little snip here. And I'm also going to fold this, line up my 2 zipper marks. You'll see they're in pink. Just gonna line those up. I'm just going to put a tiny little snip here where the center is. So now I can line up my center of my zipper to the center of this side. Okay? Just like that. Put it right on the edge, put it down real good. I'm going to make sure it is between the marks, which it is. So now we're going to pull off the back, the side closest to you, pull off the tape, or not the tape, but the backing of the tape. We're going to put our pocket right side down on top of the zipper. And I'm again going to line up my marks, mark my center. You can see how that would help. Do that on this side while I'm at it. So what I'm doing is I'm lining up my 2 zipper marks together and then finding the center. So I'm trying to find not necessarily the center of the side, but the center between the 2 zipper marks. Okay, the upper part of your pocket is the part that's curved. So you want to put that at the top. We're going to line up our center marks everywhere. Okay. Now, using a 3/8 seam allowance, we're going to start sewing at one of our marks. We're going to back stitch just a little bit, and we're going to sew all the way up, and we're going to stop at our other mark, and we're going to back stitch. Okay, and we're using 3/8 inch seam allowance. see where my zipper pull is. It's up here. Okay. Oh, if I turn my machine on, that helps. Now we're going to do the same thing with the other side. And you'll see how they don't match, and that's okay. Because as you match up the sides, as you pull it, it's going to go ahead and give you like a little bit of your face fabric it'll roll to the back so you don't see the seam. Okay, that's the purpose of that. So here's my other zipper. So this time we have the front top facing to our right. We have our zipper with the top, the way it zips up, facing to the right. We're going to take off the top piece of tape backing. I'm going to put the zipper right side down after we find our center. Center this thing. Should have done that before. So there's my center, so I'm going to put right side down. And then I'm going to peel off the back of this tape, the side that's closest to me, so now it's the bottom of it. And I'm going to take this and I'm going to pull it. So see how it pulls up some? That's okay. We're going to put it right there. Make sure we line up our centers. Okay. So see, we have like a little hole here. So now we're going to sew that at a 3/8 seam allowance, starting and stopping at our little lines here. Did not get my zipper pull out of the way soon enough. I got a little wonky line there, so I'm just going to fix that. Okay. All right, so now we're going to turn this right side out. Down with my fingers. And there we have it. There's our front, and there's our back. It's hard to see because it's black, but And basically the top of your pocket is going to be just above your foam. It's not going to go all the way to the top of your bag. It's going to be just above your foam so that when you fold this down, it's going to catch it. Okay. All right. So the next step is putting the back side of this pocket on. So now we're going to take our inner pocket, which is the one with the foam, and we're going to peel off both sides of this tape, and we're going to stick it on. And I do want to find the centers. I'm doing that. Okay, so again, I'm lining up my zipper. I'm getting the camera. My zipper placement marks here. Let me find the center. This part is not in the instructions. I'm just finding it easier to do it this way so that I know where my centers are. So that might be a little added tip for you. Let me go ahead and mark my zippers as well. So if you're doing this, you probably want to mark your center of your zippers and your pockets before you put it together. Yes. Okay. I'm going to make it a lot easier. Okay. All right, so now I'm going to line up my centers here. Make sure my top of my bag's over here, the top of my pocket is here. So make sure and that's the side that's curved is the top. So I'm going to put this on. Make sure we line it all up. Okay, we do the same thing to the other side. I have a feeling whoever invented double-sided tape is a millionaire, and if not, they should be. I mean, this stuff is amazing. Obviously, if you use it, you know it. Okay, so now the other side of this is going to be our sides. So we're going to take our two side pieces with the foam on them, and we're going to peel off the tape, and we're going to put one on each side, and then we're going to go ahead and sew. I'm assuming a 3-inch seam allowance. So let's mark our sides. So we have my two marks where my zippers go. I'm going to match those up. All right, so now let's peel this tape off. Now, be careful, because one thing you might want to do too is go ahead and secure your zippers at the top and the bottom. Just a little stitch, just to make sure you don't pull your zipper off in this process. I did not do that, so let's hope I can not pull my zipper head off here. So I'm just going to line these up in the center. obviously you can do this with clips, but I would not recommend it. I can see already that it is much easier with double-sided tape. And then if you have to just keep an alcohol pad by your machine or some goo off, that's what I keep, is goo off in a little towel. And if my needle gets a little gummy, I just put a little bit of that on there. It takes it off real easy. Okay, so we're all lined up. So I'm going to go ahead and stitch with a 3/8 inch seam allowance. And stitch these on. That is our front panel done. Okay, the next thing we need to do, you know, these sides here are not stitched all the way down because we stitched them only to our zipper mark. We did not stitch them all the way to the bottom of the side. So now we have to finish stitching the side. So what we're going to do is take our concealed pocket, we're going to kind of pull it out of the way. We're going to peel back our zipper all the way to our stitch line. We're going to take our two sides and clip them together. Now when you do this, you want to make sure you're pulling your zipper back away from the seam. We're going to take and start right where just about right where we stopped our stitching for our zipper. We're going to sew here, we're going to do some back stitches, we're going to go all the way down, and we're going to sew to our dot down here. If you remember, we put a dot. That's according to the pattern piece. We have a little dot way down here. So we're going to do that for all four corners. So again, we're going to pull our pocket away. We're going to pull our tape until we see our stitching. Let me get my zipper right here. We're going to take our two sides. We're going to hold them together. And clip. And then we're going to stitch from the bottom of our zipper down to our dot here. Now this is the upper side, but up to our dot. So pull our pocket, pull our tape off, or pull the zipper back. We're not really pulling our tape off. Take our two sides. with them. And one more. Okay. Oh, I swear I drop more things than I don't drop when I sew. Okay. If you've ever done a zipper on like a skirt or something, this is how you do it. This exact method. So it's really the same concept. It's just you're doing it on, obviously on a bag instead of a piece of clothing. So I'm going to pull, as I sew this, I'm going to pull this up and around like this. Why don't I try to switch the camera and maybe you'll be able to see it a little better, because now we have some bulk here. Let me do that. Okay, you're over my shoulder now, so hopefully this will help you see what I'm doing. So I'm gonna just take this pocket, I'm gonna open it up, so kind of put your side seams together. I'm gonna make sure I pull my zipper and my pocket out of the way. Smush this up in here. And honestly, I need my glass. Here they are. Can't see. That's what happens when you get old. Okay. I'm trying to see underneath here to see where my stitches are. Okay, I see them. They're right there. So what I'm trying to do is to put my needle in exactly where my stitch stopped for sewing this this side seam on here, or this zipper on. And I'm just sewing to my dot. Okay, so let's take a look and see how that worked. My thread's cut here. Okay, so you see how you can't really see where one stitch began and the other stitch ended? You can probably clean that up just a little bit, it's a little wonky. But I basically put my needle in right where it started and just sewed down, and then I stopped at my dot. So let's do that again. Now this one I'm gonna have to do going up. Start from the bottom and go up, I think. I knew this is hard to see because it's, now I have this on top. Let me, all right. So I got a little hump here I need to go over. So I'm just going to take a piece of leftover vinyl, stick it underneath, create a hump jumper, so I can connect with my stitches. Okay, so you can see, you can, it might be hard to see, but right here is where I connected. Okay, let's try that again. You should be able to see it better on this one since I've got to start here. So pulling all this away. All right, stick my needle down right where that other stitch ends. Try to line this up a little better. There we go. And we have one more somewhere. Right here. Fold my pocket. This time I need to start at my dot. You can. It's so hard when you're trying to see yourself and you've got. I know sometimes when I watch these videos too, I'm like, but I can't see. Can't see what you're doing. Hard for us to see sometimes when we're sewing. I guess y'all know that. Let me put this under here. Okay. So let's see how that turned out here. Okay, so it looks like I need to go back and back stitch a little bit more on this one. Can you see the stitch right here? I don't know if you can see that. I'm going to go back and re-stitch that right there. That one looks pretty good. This one looks really good. And this one looks really good. Okay, so I'm going to go back and just fix this, clean this one up a little bit. And then when we come back, we'll actually seal up our conceal pocket. Okay, so now we're going to seal up the bottom of the conceal pocket. So you want to lay your bag with your sides facing up. And you're just going to take the bottom of it and kind of flip it up. And you want to go ahead and stitch over your zippers to help hold those. And you're just going to stitch straight across here. Okay. we have, here, let me move you so you can see. Okay, so we have pocket this way. We have pocket this way. If you unzip them both, you can go all the way through. All right, so let's move on to the next step. Oh, there we go. Let's move on to the next step. Okay, we're going to work on the exterior other side now. And the way that this goes together is pretty cool. So you have your lining piece for your exterior pocket. Okay. If you look at the pattern piece, there is a, let me get the pattern piece. Pocket, exterior slip pocket lining pattern piece has a little, see how this, I don't know if you can tell, this here is not straight. It's got a little bit of an angle to it. It goes up and it goes this way. So when you cut your pattern piece out, see it's got like these two little points to it. Right here and right here. The shorter part is the top, and I actually put a T up here on the back of mine so I remembered what was top and what was bottom, because it does make a difference. So you're going to take your lining piece, you're going to lay it right side up, and the top is going to be away from you. You're going to take your exterior piece, you're going to put it right sides together, and you're going to line up these edges. You're going to clip them. We're going to sew this with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Okay. We're going to fold the seam up towards the vinyl, and we're going to top stitch. Then we're going to take the bottom. We're going to put the right side, or excuse me, yeah, the right side down, but we're going to put the top of the bottom. All right, so here's your bottom piece. You got these little cutouts here. This is the top. You're going to put the top along the bottom of this pocket, right sides together. You're going to clip, and you're going to sew with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. So we're going to put this right side up. We're going to fold this up, and pretty much where that pocket piece had that bend in it, that's going to be roughly where you are going to fold it, just to kind of give you maybe a starting guide. Should be right about there. So let's see. Yep, look at that, perfect. Okay, so we're going to clip that. Now, looks like that side's a little bit high. See that? So I'm going to bring it down just a tad. Let's see how this side looks. This side's a little bit high too. I'm going to bring it down just a tad. Before I do that, though, I'm just going to go ahead and put my my tag on here. So once we do that, Let me just make sure. Yeah. So once you get it all lined up, then what you're going to do is just baste down both sides to keep this pocket secure. Now it's time to put everything together, or at least the exterior together. So we're going to take our back assembly piece. We're going to take our front assembly piece that we finished with our slip pocket here. We're going to put them right sides together. And what you want to do, you've got dots at the top of this piece and at the bottom here. Same thing on your sides. You should have a dot at the top and you should have a dot at the bottom. You want to match up the dots at the top. Okay, so to do that, which she suggests, and since you're going to be sewing this anyway and you're going to be turning the top down, it's not a problem, put a pin in your top dot up here and then find your top dot on the side. This is right here. So now these are top dots are lined up. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to clip this together with these top dots lined up. Now, one side here, your back, or your, I guess it's your back now, your front here, is actually going to be longer than the side. And that's okay. So we're going to do the same thing over here. We're going to put a pin through. We're going to find our top dot here, pull the pin, get it good and tight. Make sure everything's matched up. And then pin on down, or clip down. Okay. So a 1/2 inch seam allowance from the top dot all the way down to the bottom. Okay, one thing I just double checked before as I was pinning my sides together, or my bottoms together, I wanted to make sure that the side seams, that my side seam was the full 1/2 inch so that the seam came all the way, you see how it's a lighter color there, it came all the way to exactly where this flap, the edge of this flap. You see that? You don't want to be out here. You want to be right where that flap, the edge of that flap. So on one of these, I think it was this one, I ended up just kind of taking a couple extra stitches and coming in just a little bit closer. So I want to make sure that I'm getting right to the corners. That's going to be like the corner of your bag. Okay, so now we're going to pin this together, sew it at a 1/2 inch seam allowance. And then we're going to open up the seam and use some double-sided tape to keep it open. Then we're going to put some double-sided tape on the seam. Turn this around. Basically what's going to happen are these sides are going to come up like this, and that's how we're going to secure the bottom. So I need to measure the center, find the center of these here. All right, so we get my ruler. So these are 5 inches, so it's 2.5. Make a mark. Do the same thing on the other side. Two and a half. Now, this is where you had a couple options in the pattern. You could have chosen not to top stitch these flaps, and instead you can fold these down and stitch them on here, which would mean you'd have to kind of get in here real good, push this bag down, and then sew it on. I opted for what I thought was the easier option, and I am going to just use my purse feet to put those on to secure those sides. Okay, I wanted to double check this before I did it, but again, if you've decided you're not going to try to get in there to sew these flaps down, then what you're going to do is top stitch like we did in the beginning. Then you're going to put double-sided tape along all of the edges here. I'm going to take some E6000 glue and put it in the middle. And I found, I've been kind of fighting with it a little bit. I found this is the easiest way to do it. I'm literally holding it between my legs here in my lap upside down, so that I can get this bottom nice and flat. And once we put this glue on, we're going to just, you know, fold this down and make sure it's good. Now, make sure that your foam from your side, see that foam right there? Make sure that that is laying flat, that this piece is over it, and then your bottom piece is over that flap. I'm kind of finding that's the easiest way to do it, and you kind of feel and make sure all that feels good. Then we're gonna take some of this glue, get my rag and my spatula ready here. And I'm just gonna put some of this on there. Smooth it out. Okay. And then I'm just going to fold this down. Make sure my corners look good. And honestly, I'm just going to hold it here for a minute. Stick my hand up here and try to press it down real good. Now she says to clip it in place until the glue dries. I don't want my clips to leave marks. You see how pretty that is? I like it. I like it a lot. And then we're going to end up putting purse feet in here. Okay, so let's do the other side. So I've put my tape on here. I'm going to relieve the pressure of this right here just a little bit. Okay. All right, so I'm going to make sure that my foam is underneath my flap. Make sure the bottom is over the top here. Peel off my tape. Cut this little piece here that's sticking up. Okay. Sure this is going to fold over okay. Got my glue. And what I would say is don't be shy with this glue. Go ahead and put it on there. Okay. Then we're just going to kind of stick that in. Fold this down. Stick my hand in there. Looks pretty good. Okay, let me set that down and get my glue tied up. Now, she suggests cutting 2 pieces of Peltex to put in the bottom of this. You're going to glue them together and stick them in the bottom so you have a good firm bottom. I have Decoville Heavy. So I'm going to go ahead and get my Decoville Heavy ready. I'm going to glue them together and then stick them in the bottom of this bag before I put the feet in. And I will come back and we'll do that together. But I am going to get, so go ahead and get your either Peltex or Decoville, whatever you have ready. Okay, I have my 2 pieces of Decoville Heavy. Oops, sorry, I'm trying to get this, okay. In here, and what I did, I glued the 2 pieces together, I put it in here, and I'm really trying to get it in the corners good. So I'm pushing on the corners of the Decoville Heavy so that it gets really sharp in these corners. Gets pushed in there real good. And that's going to help the bag with its shape. Okay, make sure I get it on the ends real good. And because I have glue at the bottom, I really want to give it a chance to dry before I move on, and it's getting late. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put something heavy. I'm going to just set something heavy inside this bag. On each end. I'm sorry, golly, I'm all over the place. I'm going to go ahead and set something heavy on the bag on each end and let it dry overnight. And then once it's dry, we'll be able to put the feet on here tomorrow. Well, for you, it'll be today. It'll be just a few minutes, but that's what I'm going to do. So that kind of gives you an idea of what this is going to look like. Oh, it's just like, it's coming out so good. I'm so excited. It's gorgeous. Nice slip pocket. Okay, anyway. So let your glue dry and then we'll be back. I left this overnight and the ends here have dried. So now we need to install purse feet just to kind of give it a little extra support. We need to measure a 1/2 inch in from the side and a 1/2 inch over from this side. So I just have a small ruler here and I'm going to line up a 1/2 inch right there. And I'm just going to put a mark. I'm going to turn it towards me so I can see it, now that you see how I've measured it. I'm going to put one little mark right there. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing on this side. 1/2 inch down, 1/2 inch over. I'm going to put a mark. Flip this over. I'm going to do the same thing here. So they're all lined up and nice and even. Okay, so now if you want to make sure that they're lined up across, it should be, if you measured right, you might want to just take your ruler and make sure your dots are in the same spot. All right, check this one. What's the old verbiage? Measure twice, cut once. Yeah, I like to do that. This one seems right here a little bit low. So I'm gonna make a new mark. I'm gonna hold this in my lap and do it just so I can make sure it's even. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is just go off camera. I'm going to punch my holes with my hole punch here, and install my purse feet. And I do have the screw-in purse feet. I've seen a lot of talk on Facebook about purse feet with the ends that bend in, like with a washer, and they're falling out and they're breaking and all kinds of things are happening to them. So I've been starting to order purse feet with screws, and I just think that might be a little safer route to go. You can find them at, I actually ordered some today at Bringberry Hardware, or Emmeline I think has them as well. So, so anyway, I'll do that and I'll come back. Okay, so I have my feet on, and at this point, the exterior of the bag is complete. Pocket, and of course over here you pocket. It goes right through. I think that's so cool. Now I want to show you all a little trick. It's really hard to put purse feet on once you have the bag completed like this, because you've got to do it from the outside if you want to get exact placement, and you got to stick something up in there. So I want to show you what I do. I went out to my husband's shop and I just got two 2x4s and cut them to the same length. And then I just literally put 2 screws in each side. There are 2.5 screws, 2 on this side and 2 on this side, just to hold them together. So then I just put this, let me raise you up, put this on the table, and I just take the bag, and of course remember you've marked on this side where the feet go, and I just put it on like this. Make sure that the block is, where you're getting ready to punch, and I just use my punching tool and my mallet and just punch the hole, and then move it over here, punch the hole, punch the hole, punch the hole, and then all your holes are done. And it prevents you from having to smush your bag down or turn it back inside out or whatever else you do to get your holes in. So I just keep this, nothing fancy. I mean, I guess if you wanted to cover it or something you could, but there's no reason to. Nobody's gonna see it but you. And I just kind of keep this handy underneath my workstation and pull it out when I need it. So, because the exterior is complete, and we're I can see it's gonna be a long video if I continue on the lining. I'm gonna stop this video here. I'm gonna go ahead and edit it, and I'm gonna post it so y'all can be working on your exterior. You're gonna be working on getting everything cut, get your exterior done, and I'm going to go ahead and finish up the lining and then post that video in a couple of days. And it'll all come together at that point. So, give it a try. It's a lot of pieces, but it's not that intimidating. Rewind me, watch me again if you need to. Get to this point, and then in a couple days, be looking for the lining video and finishing it up.